Are you ready to become a change maker? Our 48-week postgraduate program in public policy or the PGP may be just the thing for you. This hybrid program is designed to give you both the theoretical foundation and hands-on experience needed to excel in policy making. With a mix of expert-led webinars, in-person workshops, and policy simulation exercises, you'll gain real-world skills along with personalized mentorship. Through our policy programs, we connect good people to good ideas and good networks. Apply now at the link in the description to make an impact.
Welcome to All Things Policy, a daily podcast by the Takshashila Institution. We are a bunch of policy nerds based in Bangalore, and we like bringing fresh perspectives to Indian affairs and Indian perspectives to global affairs. So grab a cup of coffee, sit back, and join us for today's chat.
Hello everyone and welcome to a new episode of All Things Policy. I'm Keerthi, a research analyst at Takshashila Institution. On today's episode, we have Dr. Nithiyanadam with us. He is the professor and the head of Geospatial Research Programme at Takshashila Institution. Hello Nithya.
Hi Keerthi, it's a pleasure to be on your show.
Thank you. Today's episode is special because we are marking 50 years since the launch of Aryabhata, India's first satellite. And Aryabhata wasn't just a technical project, but bold statement of intent. When it was launched in 1975, India was stepping into domain that had, until then, been dominated by just few global powers. We didn't have much our launch vehicle at the time. The satellite was launched from the Soviet Union. But what made it remarkable was that it was entirely designed and built by Indian scientists. That determination and self-reliance set the tone of everything ISRO has achieved since. The name itself, Aryabhata, carries so much meaning. It connects modern Indians' aspirations with its scientific heritage, drawing on legacy of the great mathematician and astronomer who lived over 1,000 years ago. It symbolizes how India blends ancient knowledge with forward-looking innovations. And Aryabhata represented capability, vision, and belief, and in many ways, it laid the foundation for all the milestones that followed in India's space journey. It was just the beginning, but what a remarkable beginning it was. Nithya, could you please share a bit more about what the Aryabhata satellite was and why it is remembered as a such significant moment in India's space history?
Yeah, thank you, Keerthi. So this is we're sitting after 50 years of a remarkable milestone that India has achieved, and that was a time the modern day ISRO today, and the time the ISRO was evolved at that time is completely different, right? We have at that particular point of time getting a satellite like this indigenously is a very big milestone. As you said, it is not just a simple achievement. It is an important and significant technological milestone that India has perceived at that time. Uh, it was built indigenously, and young scientists from ISROs have contributed for its development in very own place. Though it was launched on Cosmos 3M rocket from Kapustin Yar site, but the rocket and the spaceport was from Russia, but the satellite was built at Indian soil. Um, it is, it went for a very short time, and it worked for 4 days. Um, Although its experiment ceased after 4 days due to power failure, and signals were lost after 5 days, the satellite system remained operational till March 1981 and indeed stayed in orbit till February 1992. This mission put India on a global map and proved that a developing country could enter the space domain with strategic partnership, determination, and long term vision. Because of that achievement, India has excelled to the level that we are seeing today, and it is remarkably placed as one of a key space power in the globe. And it is going to places where other space agencies are struggling to go over several years of expertise, huge quantum of investments, and so on. So India has achieved this started a space journey to a greater extent with a collaboration from Russia 50 years ago in the same month.
Oh, great, Nitya. It's a great initiation. And also, the name Aryabhata has such a deep culture and scientific roots. Is there any story behind how that name was chosen?
I think the name was chosen once a satellite was built. What I could hear from newspapers, especially from a good friend of mine, Chetan, was written in Times of India, who has explained that how this name has evolved, and there were three names picked up by people.
Okay.
One was Aryabhatta. You know the reason for it, and then the other one was Jawahar. It was after Jawaharlal Nehru's name. And the third one was, I think, Mithri. It was showing friendship between India and Russia. But of course, Prime Minister Mrs. Gandhi has picked up Aryabhatta as a name for it. And we named it as Aryabhatta, and thereafter, rest our history.
Oh, that's really insightful. It's fascinating to hear how Aryabhatta marked such a powerful beginning for India's space ambitions. So, now stepping back a bit, I would like to look at the bigger picture of the time. Aryabhatta was developed in 1970s, right? A period shaped by strong geopolitical shifts and rapid technological developments around the world. So, Nitya, could you help us to understand the geopolitical and technical context in which Aryabhatta was conceptualized and built? And what was happening globally and in India that made satellite such a strategic move at that time?
See, in 1970s, it's a period where the global people are sending satellites in a rapid manner. And especially, we have seen NASA send a couple of satellites for civilian applications. And before that, it was more of military applications.
Military applications.
And it was a time when Cold War people started utilizing space-based power to reconnaissance of different, territories. US and USR was at peak, and India, maintaining a non aligned position, had to walk a diplomatic tightrope. Despite limited economic resources and focus on development issues at home, India envisioned this using space technology to serve society, particularly in areas like telecommunication, meteorology, and education. So, globally, the satellites were used for military application to begin with. But then, in case of India, and we were a country, we were developing at that stage, we utilized for the welfare of people, and ISRO continued to be an agency which largely supports the development of people and the country as whole for a very long time, right? But now we are looking for more of military satellites and things like that. But then it is a different case in case of US and USSR, where the satellites were largely built for military at a first go, and then civilian applications were open. This is actually achieved with the help of the Soviet Union, and India-Soviet friendship played a critical role because USSR agreed to launch Aryabhatta as part of a scientific cooperation agreement signed in 1972. While India lacked launch capability at that time, the satellite development was completely indigenous. This partnership enabled ISRO to gain hands on experience with mission planning, integration, and testing, laying the foundation for India's space diplomacy. This may be shocking for a young generation who is looking at, oh, India used USSR help to get it first scope. USSR and Russia has been a good friend for India and supported many of the missions thereafter also until the latest mission of sending people to space.
Oh, that's a very huge context. You just explained as it's very in very systematic way, and it's really help us to understand just how significant that movement was. It not just for India, but in the global landscape of that time. Now just shifting to the our focus to little closer to our home. Let's talk about Bengaluru. Like saying Bengaluru played a key role in the development of Aryabhatta, and over the years, it has really emerged as a heart of India's space research. So I'm just curious what Bengaluru's contribution to the Aryabhatta project, and I would like to know how did this project influence the city's evolution in the space and tech hub, and we know today, right? Yeah.
See, we all know that Bangalore and Hyderabad plays a crucial role in space development for the country, and especially Bangalore has achieved a special place in this context because when there was a time to find a place whether to be built at Bangalore or Hyderabad, Bangalore won. With the help from Karnataka's government, the ISRO team could able to secure 5,000 square feet of tents, and it was four kind of four sheds they could able to get it, and two became specialized control electronics lab, including 1500 square feet clean room for satellite integrations. It is typically a size of a two bedroom house where the satellite was built in a clean room, and it was started on a Ganesh Chaturthi on September 11, 1972. They were informally inaugurated, and it's a matter of handful of dedicated strong team over 150 people, and who went ahead and working day and night and made this milestone. So Bengaluru goes at best speed because the thing is developed in an area where we are seeing today as an industrial area, and then a key industrial area contributing to Karnataka's development, that's in Pune, right? So now you can see a lot of industries there, education institutions there in Pune. That is again a place where the India's first satellite was built.
Oh, then it is just started with the two rooms and now it developed as a huge area. And it's very interesting, Nitya. And it's clear that Aryabhatta didn't just shape the India space program, but also played a big role in putting Bangalore on the map as a space research hub. And I would like to add here what stand out to me is how single project can create a ripple effects that go far behind its original mission. And Aryabhatta wasn't just a satellite, we know, and it was a statement and it laid the groundwork for future innovations, collaborations, and even talent building across the country. So now it's time to just shifting a focus bit. Let's talk about the satellite itself. Could you please walk us through the main objectives behind this Aryabhata's development and what were something of the technical features that made it so significant back in the day?
Yeah, at that time, the satellite's capability is one aspect. Second is the size of the satellite. So
Exactly.
this satellite was with a launch mass of 360 kilograms, was constructed in a 26-sided polyhedral shape with 24 faces fitted with solar panels. These panels generated about 46 watts of power. The satellite main objective was scientific to carry out experiments in X-ray astronomy, solar physics, and aeronomy. So aeronomy is a study of upper atmosphere. The
Oh.
interesting thing to note is it was not an Earth observation satellite.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, NASA used to launch a series of Earth observation satellites, but our first satellite was not an Earth observation satellite. It was to study upper atmosphere. It was an experiment to understand solar physics. It was an experiment to understand X-ray astronomy. So the aspects are different. Um, but then the satellite has achieved its objective, though it spanned for 5 days, because it shows that India, at that time, India is capable of sending satellites and building satellites. And there is a strong partner India has, and that is USSR. And thereafter it has given a hope and confidence to people in system also to provide money for these efforts. And thereafter Indian scientists have taken forward and built so many satellites which were required for us stage by stage. It's not just optical satellites, there are telecommunication satellites to begin with, there are weather monitoring satellites, and thereafter we have earth observation satellites which can click pictures like what we are clicking from our mobile phones from a distance, right?
Oh, even though it is just a first step for us that we have done so much in the beginning itself, and that you have explained it very in a clear way, so that especially the way you broke down the its objectives and the technical features, it's just fascinating to see how advanced that first step into the space was for India. And speaking about Aryabhatta, what I have always found interesting is that it was actually launched from the, as you said, it's from the Soviet Union. That says a lot about the international cooperation in those early years. So I was just curious, what kind of space partnership existed between India and the USSR at the time, and how does Russia continued that collaboration today?
See, the cooperation wasn't just technological. It had symbolic value as a model for peaceful international scientific cooperation. The collaboration helped India quickly overcome technological isolation because, you know, though okay, let's look at in this way. Many people still feel like why we have to invest on space when you still have many problems to sort out domestically,
Yeah.
and that money could be used for that, right? But the space investment is always a matter of pride and gives you a different benefit, not maybe a direct benefit by carrying out an experiment like this. It will serve a group of scientists who are working on it or who may be interested on the data. But it will also gives you technical advantage and a merit compared to other countries, showcasing that we are studying and we are capable of pursuing scientific experiments at this level. So that platform was provided by USSR. And we have been hearing the support from USSR has been there for so many projects, not just that. And today we have people, when ISRO reached a stage and people are coming and showing the support, they wanted to work on different projects, be it moon project, be it Mars projects. People wanted to put their sensor. People wanted to join hands with ISRO and other Indian private companies also, especially to jointly work on different projects. But that time nobody has believed, right? And when US is not in the favor of India, and USSR was the only partner who could able to support us and give us the key technologies, and more importantly the systematic way of doing it, like Indian scientists working along with Russian scientists could able to get the key aspects associated with project planning, mission execution, and the different kinds of infrastructure required. Thereafter it helps us to learn and pursue at our end by ourselves. So more importantly, the collaboration continues. As I said earlier, even for Gaganyaan mission, there's a lot of support taken from the Russian scientists, and the collaboration continues at different levels.
Oh, it's just fascinating how deeply the India's early space efforts were tied to the international cooperation, especially with the Soviet Union. And it's good to remember that the space research has always been a mix of national ambitions and the global support. I was also thinking about how bold it was for India to aim for a satellite launch in the period of 1970s. Even we didn't have much of infrastructure, like we just had two rooms to start up with, and not much of funding or technical experiences that time for spacefaring nations had. And yet Aryabhatta still become a reality as an inspiration story. What strikes me the most is that Aryabhatta wasn't just about the putting satellite into an orbit, and it was also building capabilities from scratch and learning by doing and setting the tone of the ISRO's future. And given the time and context, it couldn't have been easy. And I imagine there must be have all kind of some technical and logistic hurdles as well. And limited access to components, lack of hands-on experiences, maybe even skepticism from within. But somehow they made it work. So I would like to know more about the journey of them. Like, what were the key challenges for ISRO faced during the development of Aryabhatta, and how did they overcome with that? Like, even though beyond the technical side, what kind of impact did Aryabhatta have on India's space program? Like later on, with the shaping the missions or inside IRS and Chandrayaan and the Mangalyaan.
Okay, so I could broadly touch upon the two broad challenges that we had. One is about even getting a clean room, right? ISRO has faced enormous challenge while developing Aryabhatta. They had minimal infrastructure, no proper clean rooms, environmental test chambers, or dedicated satellite assembly line. Today, Bangalore has multiple companies. Private companies even can do this without the help of ISRO. So, so today we have private companies are capable of doing it, but then back then at that time we do not have the facilities to do this thing even at a government facility. So this is on one side. Second is about procuring parts, and luckily the two people on the team went ahead. As per as I could read it from the news, like two people went ahead and traveled different parts of the world and procured the components which are required. Otherwise, it's very difficult to get it through formal channel and things like that. And they could manage to get it by themselves, and that freedom was exist within the system. That looks like the management has realized the challenges, and this is only doable when we go out with this kind of arrangement. So they went ahead and procured a couple of components and then managed to get it on time. So you know there are certain challenges other than this technical challenges, which I feel it is beyond the scope of this podcast. But then largely these two challenges were addressed, and thereafter it helped to get the satellite on a very short time.
Oh, it's just insightful information. Like, I especially like the point how this groundwork is not just for a technology, for the building of confidence within the ISRO. And now we look back at 50 years of Aryabhata. It's not just time, and it feels like moment to pause and ask, what have we truly gained from the experiences and beyond the technological success? It just shows me how vision and the smart partnerships can push boundaries despite of limited resources. So here I'm just wondering, as we celebrate 50 years of Aryabhatas, so what are the biggest lessons we take forward for India's future in the space exploration and innovation?
Okay, before the lessons, what legacy it has brought out, it was not just a satellite, it was a classroom in the sky.
Mhm.
It trained a generation of engineers and scientists in space system engineering and mission operations. Many of them thereafter involved in different missions, including INSAT, IRS, and eventually India's planetary missions, right? So technically, Aryabhatta validated core satellite subsystems that were later adapted and refined. Culturally, give India confidence in global recognition. That's what we
The
have
whole.
discussed,
Mm.
right? What it has achieved, 50 years later, the strategic vision, political will, and dedicated talent can overcome the most daunting odds. Like, if you have this, you can overcome the thing. And ISRO has demonstrated today with very limited resources, it is capable of doing marvelous things. Right? From the humble industrial estate of Pina to the vacuum of space, satellites journey in an allegory of India's ascent in space science and technology. So, as India is now venturing into different extraterrestrial planetary missions, lunar landings, solar observatories, human spaceflight mission, private space ventures, Aryabhata's legacy reminds us to stay grounded in the purpose. It amplifies how peaceful, people-oriented space science can foster national development. It is also, necessary to recollect what was the development happened in other space power today at that particular time, right? So, be it US or be it China, be it India, they're all almost looks like same level of developments in terms of contributing directly to people. I'm not talking about the military infrastructure. There are more and more satellites coming out at that time from NASA, and thereafter it's a series of launches from NASA where the system is quite familiar to them and they have resources. They had some people, they had physical infrastructure, they had other resources to make it happen. China has started in a similar way, and I believe at that particular point of time, we and China were almost in a same phase, and it looks like we were even trying to send a satellite which is heavier than China, right? That was the support offered by Russians at that time. But then there are certain stages that the changes happened, and then the focus was shifted towards aggressively building the space resources, and the capabilities has increased at our counterpart, especially with Chinese in today's context. It has increased to a greater level. But while we could able to achieve greater milestones, but we still, slightly behind China in terms of Earth observation capabilities, at least. So there's 50 years later we are discussing, we have achieved certain milestone, and I wish 100 years later we should say like we are the best and we could overcome all the challenges, and we should able to overpass all the competitors that we have today. And we believe, and we wish ISRO to showcase its full power of supporting diverse aspects of space industry. That's not just only on the rocket development or the satellite based developments. To an extent, since we are from the downstream aspect of space, the support extends to downstream would also be appreciated, because that is where our counterparts are focused, especially in terms of navigation and positioning. The counterparts have developed a lot of applications, a lot of revenue based on those technologies, and the economy has just leverage the technology to a greater extent, and their developments were supported largely by the space based technologies. So we wish we will see our country and ISRO in a much better position in years to come. Thank you so much, Kirti.
Yeah. Even we had 50 years of celebrations. So we are still to do so much of achievements in this sector, yeah, Nitya. We come to the end of this episode, marking as 50 years of glorious years since the launch of Aryabhata, the historical leap that laid the foundation for India's incredible journey in the space exploration. From humble beginnings to missions like Chandrayaan and Mangalyaan, we have seen how far we have come and how it all started with one brave visionary step, And it's big thank for you, Nitya, for joining us and sharing such a valuable insights, and to all our listeners. And we hope that they all enjoyed this episode as much we enjoyed bringing to you,
Yeah.
So, Nitya, before signing off, I heard about this geospatial team in the Takshashila Institution has launched the expert capsule course. Would you like to talk about that?
Yeah, listeners, we have an expert capsule course for geospatial science and technology at Takshashila Institution. While the typical learning of geospatial science and technology requires a formal classroom and intense in-person experience and so on, what we have curated is a course where people can take out in 4 different weeks on 4 Saturdays, specifically in the first half of the Saturdays, to get a knowledge about the geospatial science and technology, various aspects, not just GIS, the mapping part of it, the remote sensing, the space-based part of it, or the navigation part of it. We covers the foundation stuffs, including the laws associated with it, and also the complexities like understanding mathematics behind it in a course called geodesy. So there are multiple aspects of geospatial nicely covered in an introductory course, and the deadline for early bird is approaching. People can leverage by registering in early bird, and the course begins in June, mid of June, and spans up to mid of July for a month. So this is a suitable course for you if you're a person thinking, well, I know about the subject, I heard it, it is useful, but how can I get an opportunity to learn it, or where should I go because I'm based on a remote location, or I'm working and I could not afford to go to a formal setup. This is the course for you. And or if you feel like I've never heard about a subject, but looks like this has a potential and interesting, I will give a shot and try how this is. So in that case also you can join, and more importantly, we made no prerequisite for this course. So anybody and everybody who can join. Or all you need to do is write a simple proposal by saying why you are interested on this course, and we'll vet it through, and then we'll invite you for the registration. So that's the process, and I request you to look into the ECC Geospatial website that you can find at the podcast link. And also, with a small team in Takshashila, we do something interesting. Interesting works on geopolitics and strategic affairs related to India's interest, where from the geospatial lens. So do check out our webpage, and we also write something called Takshashila Geospatial Bulletin, where we cover interesting geospatial based analysis with the help of cutting edge geospatial tools, and more often from data sets which are available in open domain also. So that's all from us, and we look
then
forward.
it is a global opportunity, right? So interested candidates are welcome to apply the course.
Yeah.
So okay, Nita, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Keerthi.
If you liked our show, dive into Takshashila's research on technology, strategy, and economic affairs. Check us out at our Twitter handle at Takshashila INST or our website takshashila.org.in.